After Mr. Ajay's talk, which was quite inspiring, we are going to have a very senior leader, Mr. Randhir Thakur, Senior Vice President and President, Intel Foundry Services, from Chief Supply Chain Officer from Intel. He will be addressing the audience. And we request Mr. Jitendra Chadda from Intel to kindly introduce Mr. Randhir Thakur. A little bit about Mr. Jitendra Chadda. He's the Country Manager, Global Supply Chain, Intel India at Intel Corporation. And he has also been the past chairman of IESA. So over to you, Mr. Jitendra Chadda, also known as JC, to please welcome and introduce Mr. Randhir Thakur from Intel.
We are very lucky to have an industry stalwart, Dr. Randhir Thakur, amongst us, and it's my pleasure to be introducing Dr. Thakur today. Dr. Randhir is known in the industry for his 35 years of experience as a hands-on innovator and a business leader, with expertise expanding in global manufacturing, research and development, semiconductor supply chain, and managing profitable P&L businesses. Dr. Randhir has 300 plus patents, 200 plus publications, and 6 edited books in his name. He has served in many business and technical leadership roles across the industry. Before joining Intel in 2017, Dr. Randhir was Executive Vice President of the Silicon Systems Group at Applied Materials, where he led company semiconductor business to deliver profitable growth and market share gains. Dr. Randhir was also an Executive Vice President at SanDisk, where he was responsible for NAND design technology and fabrication operations. He also led worldwide operations and supply chain at SanDisk. Till recently, Dr. Randhir was Intel's Chief Supply Chain Officer, the reason many of us joined the supply chain team at Intel. At present, Dr. Randhir Thakur is Senior Vice President and the President of Intel Foundry Services. Under his leadership, Intel Foundry Services is leading the development and growth of Intel's new foundry business, which is very, very significant element of Intel's IDM 2.0 strategy. On behalf of the entire semiconductor industry, I now welcome an IEEE Fellow and VLSI Hall of Fame, Dr. Randhir Thakur.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to join IESA Vision Summit and share a few thoughts with you. I hope that next time I'll be there in person to participate. I am Randhir Thakur, President of Intel Foundry Services. In the next 15 minutes, I'll share with you why I believe the future is bright for the semiconductor industry and why this will lead to opportunities for economic growth in India. In Intel's 50-year history, we have seen how our products have changed the world we live in by completely transforming how we access information, how we work, how we connect and help each other. We made it our purpose to keep creating this world-changing technology to improve and enrich the lives of every person on Earth. Many objects of daily life already have capabilities for sensing, computing, and communication. Our home, cars, cities, factories, retail stores, hospitals operate like computers. They are running complex software and generate staggering volume of data. Today, the world already generates 3 exabytes per day. That's 3 millions. In the next decade, we'll see many more intelligent devices, about 100 billion, connected and generates even more data. This wealth of data can be put to very good use and improve human lives. And that requires increasing powerful computing solutions, for example, for artificial intelligence and machine learning to make sense of that data. India's digital transformation is the best example of how this data can drive economic growth and help improve the lives of every person. In a 2019 study, McKinsey found that India has enormous potential to apply digital technologies and that the rate of adoption is explosively fast, much faster than in most other countries in the world. There is rapid growth across many areas where digital technologies are generating real-life benefits, such as in agriculture, healthcare, retail, logistics. Another specific example for India where digital technology helps is road safety. The deaths from the accidents are alarming at 17 deaths every hour. India has only 1% of world vehicles, but 11% of global road fatalities. ADAS equipped vehicles can help address this challenge and can make roads safer. But this technology has not been widely available. However, we have recently done some ADAS pilots in India with leading automaker, and the results are encouraging. AI and computer vision-based systems can reduce the likelihood of injury from rear-end collisions by 56%. These pilots leveraged algorithms tuned to India-specific traffic conditions. We believe that in the next decade, semiconductor will enable similar transformational benefits in many other areas of daily life. This expectation is also reflected in the rapidly growing demand for semiconductors. And every day, and even today, the semiconductor industry can't fully meet the demand. We are in the midst of a global semiconductor shortage. The lead times for many semiconductors are 1 year right now, and these devices are in just about everything we use. Some of the hardest hit segments are telecom and auto. The auto segment in India has declined by 11% year on year in August, with significant cut in production announced from major automakers in India just last week. This shortage is projected to continue. The key reason is that there is insufficient manufacturing capacity worldwide. On top of that, there is added supply risk because of the manufacturing capacity is geographically concentrated in just a few sites. Let me explain how we got into this situation. The cost of building a leading factory has gone from about 1 billion in 2000 to 17 billion in 2020. There are only 3 companies left in the world who have the scale, revenue, and cash flow to keep investing in next generation leading edge fabs: TSMC, Samsung, and Intel. TSMC and Samsung operate as foundries. They provide contract manufacturing services to fabless companies around the world. However, because of supply chain disruption, capacity problems, and decreasing choice of foundries, many companies in the US and EU and governments have encouraged Intel to also offer foundry services. To address the growing worldwide demand for semiconductors, Intel has already made significant investments in expanding our manufacturing capability. These investments are in R&D and capital expenditures. We have added tens of thousands of jobs over the last 2 years, but the shortage in semiconductor industry proves that this is not enough and more is needed to be done. So we are accelerating our pace. Intel will be investing even more in the coming years in building new capacity in the US and Europe, and thereby improving the diversity of manufacturing sites across the world. Intel is also opening its doors wide to customers to manufacture their products. This is the bold foundry strategy that Intel has announced earlier this year. This will address the supply shortage to a large extent. So, what does this all mean for India? Digital transformation has played a key role in India's technical journey. The economic liberalization in the 90s led to a boom in IT services. India became a leader driven by the technical talent and innovation in business model. The early 2000s saw growth in every industry: wireless communication, consumer electronics, and auto, as well as the rise of local cloud-first companies who deliver e-commerce and mobility services. Design and engineering skills boomed. In the last 10 years, India has become #1 global fintech adopter. The internet and mobile users have grown exponentially. The last 6 years have been phenomenal in India. The growth in smartphone users and internet data consumption has been exponential. The government policies and investments, coupled with the innovative spirit of the Indian entrepreneurs, large and small, has really propelled the country forward. I believe that the next decade in India is even more promising. India is projected to have a 1 trillion digital economy by 2026 and 250 billion electronics industry. This phenomenal growth will be enabled by embracing the cutting edge technologies, but in a manner that suits India's needs. Population scale, AI, and pervasive connectivity will drive technology use cases that are human-centric. India has truly democratized technology for all with mobile, digital payment, and the next step is to democratize compute with cloud and edge computing. India, led by its deep talent and proactive policy environment, has a unique opportunity to become a major player worldwide and play a significant role in the chip design ecosystem, IP, and technology products for the world. Let me talk about how Intel has partnered with India and grown our Intel India site over the last 2 decades. Intel India has provided 20 plus years of consistent execution excellence with high quality in R&D. It is Intel's largest design facility outside of the US. Intel has invested over $7.25 billion in India to date and continues to expand its R&D and innovation presence in the country. Intel India is a microcosm of Intel with all major business units present here: data center, AI, client, Internet of Things, IT, software, silicon engineering, system on a chip, IPs, graphics. It is engaged in cutting-edge engineering work such as chip SoC design, wireless communication, graphics, and software involving advanced technology areas like artificial intelligence, 5G, ADAS, and augmented reality. Intel is committed to a strategic partnership with India. We understand India's priorities and we are ready to serve. To help India make the benefit of the digital economy accessible to everyone, Intel offers a broad portfolio of leading-edge compute solutions to power best-in-class products for 5G, cloud, and AI. To help India create software and system solutions for its own needs and to bring its innovative solutions to the rest of the world, Intel's One API provides an open ecosystem and architecture for software and hardware development. Intel also supports ORAN and for software-defined 5G infrastructure and human-centric AI. And finally, Intel Foundry Services will be a supportive strategic partner for businesses in India who will become leading providers and suppliers of IPs, ASICs, SoCs, and systems that make use of Intel's differentiated technology solutions. Intel is counting on a strong collaboration with India to realize this vision. And speaking about collaboration and the semiconductor industry ecosystem, I want to emphasize how important that collaboration is for driving continued progress in the semiconductor industry in the next decade. Keeping up with Moore's law is getting harder for everyone. The investment required into R&D and the velocity of innovation is just too much for any single company to do by itself. But through collaboration, we can direct tens of billions of R&D dollars and thousands of creative minds towards addressing the increasingly difficult technical challenges. This creates opportunities for everyone to grow and win. In this ecosystem, India is already an established player in EDA, IP, and design services and can expand from there into several adjacent areas. In conclusion, I want to repeat my belief that the future looks bright for semiconductors. The value they bring to the world is unmatched, and the demand is still accelerating. And India, as one of the most populous countries with a vibrant digital economy, a rapid rate of transformation, with outstanding quality of engineering education, is very well positioned to be a leader in the next decade of semiconductor innovation. My dream is that in this decade, India becomes among the top semiconductor geographies in the world. Intel is fully committed to partner with India in realizing this dream. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Thakur, for that very inspiring and motivational view on what Intel's and India's future is. And I think some of the takeaways that we have from the previous address by Mr. Ajay Soni around leveraging our strengths in the creation of new products, Dr. Thakur actually summarized how the various initiatives of Intel are going to support India. Also, the fact that there is a very bright future for semiconductors in India as well as globally, and how Intel Foundry Services will collaborate with the ecosystem in India to enable creation of new innovative products. I think that is really, I would say, motivating to the industry, and I'm sure the audience who is listening to this will definitely pay heed in terms of being able to, one of the other aspects, which is collaboration across the industry to actually create new and innovative products. So thank you again, Mr. Thakur, and also the team in Intel India for helping facilitate this talk from Dr. Randhir Thakur. Our next keynote speaker is someone who needs no introduction, Mr. John Chambers, or I should say Padma Bhushan, Mr. John Chambers, who has been a very, very strong supporter of India and the Indian industry. To introduce him, for formality's sake, former executive chairman and CEO Cisco, chairman JC2 USA. John has invested in several companies that in the world that are disrupting major industries. He's passionate about mentoring young CEOs, and that passion comes out every time you hear him speak or even talk to him. He's the author of Connecting the Dots: Lessons for Leadership, which is an amazing, basically a study on what leadership is all about, especially from a business standpoint. He's always been a strong believer that startups will be the core driver of innovation, which is so important for India to become an ESDM leader, like Dr. Thakur said, over the next decade. He's been tirelessly working to promote new business creation across the globe and the broader development of startup nations and the startup world. John, of course, served as the Cisco CEO from 1995 to 2015 and as executive chairman from 2015 to 2017. So without much ado, let's hear what John has to say and what his perspective around ESDM and the semiconductor industry for India is. Over to you, John.